Poland today, we met people from different professions that decided to develop their careers here in Poland, sharing with us their international experiences in living between homes. I'm Urszula Ożarowska, and today we have a totally new field that is interesting to know from this side and an amazing person behind that profession. We will talk today about comedy. And with me, my guest Moira Adomaite, stand-up comedy artist living between two countries, Poland and Lithuania. Hello, it's very nice to have you here.
Hello, thank you for having me here.
So the first question may be, why Poland? Why are you here?
Because of my husband. My husband is a pilot and he's been placed in Georgia for 2 years. And for 2 years we've been waiting for Poland because Poland is the closest way to home, Lithuania. So not many opportunities to be closer than that. So we were very excited to get Poland and we're finally here.
And now you live between Vilnius and Warsaw. You switch like every week. How do you do
yeah,
that?
it depends on the schedule of my husband because Lithuania is his home. He loves to go back. So it's like 50-50. We go back and forth. We have a cat. So it's just easier for me to stick with my husband's schedule because we travel with a car and then it's more freedom to travel with the cat without stresses of public transport on her.
And knowing his work schedule and knowing his lifestyle, then you made your work into this, or
Yes. I think family and relationship is very important in general, and I think I love my husband to the extent where I would like my life to accommodate his life. And I understand with a profession like piloting, it goes first in many ways because it's a very demanding profession. So even before that, I had a different job, and even then I was able to choose my schedule, which days to work to accommodate the days off so we could spend the time together and fully spend time together, do things that we like. And I also kind of chose the field where I also can decide when to do the shows, when to show up, when to not show up. And but I changed one stage into another stage. I grew up on stage, so I think stage has always been giving me something that I've been seeking. So it doesn't matter what kind of stage, as long as you are expressing yourself, I think it can be any field. Even teaching is expressing yourself. It can be anything. So I tried teach before. So,
really?
It's my first degree is in teaching. So, yeah.
Every humor, I think, it's different. The English one is different, and Lithuanian one is different. And how do you, switch between that?
Comedy is an art of being human, recognizing humanity, and delivering it in a way that is relatable. So I think any kind of human experience, if you deliver it in the right way, can be funny to all cultures in all the languages. But it's an art of finding the right way to deliver it. So, of course, you see that in different cultures, people prefer to consume comedy in a little bit different way. Sometimes it's one-liner jokes or analogies or storytelling. But comedies in Europe, I would say, they are catching up to the comedy in the West because that's where it started in the first place. So we are only now finding the voices in different nationalities. So it's finding their own place and way of existence. But English comedy is more universal because people have longer periods of knowing how to consume this art. I've met people both in Lithuania and Poland, comedians who prefer to perform in English rather than native language because they just don't fit. If you grow up watching Western comedy as an American English-speaking comedians, then it might be a little bit hard to perform in the native language unless you start from the very beginning and you grow up watching those comedians and then maybe you know how to appeal to the audience of that nationality. It's very complicated. And I think as a traveling comedian most of us get mixed audiences, which is Polish people speaking English, and they usually bring foreign friends or come with foreign friends. And so you get a little bit different local people, and you need to kind of like balance on being international and local at the same time. It's very, very interesting. But I've noticed that in Lithuania, people do enjoy when you find very peculiar things about nationality and you kind of like turn them like a mirror back, and you're like, oh, this is what I noticed about you. And if they recognize yourself, they take you as, oh, you are one of us.
Do you have an example of this?
No, for example, I have a very, I don't know, I've done this joke several times where I say that Lithuanians are not good at this one thing called communication, for example, like this. Or when I say that Lithuanians are a very introverted nation, and then I give examples of how doctors work, of how scam calls work. And then you kind of like, you see them recognizing this very interesting thing, because it's like going in a city where you live as a tourist. Foreigners usually show people how they are, and it depends on the nationality if they are able to laugh at themselves or not. Because sometimes people get very defensive, which is natural, I think. But we foreigners, we notice things because of the clash of cultures, wherever we come from. And then we're like, oh, this is different, this is different. And we sometimes use this in comedy to make ourselves more appealing to the audience, because we all want to be accepted. We all want to fit in. So this is how we learn about the culture, and then we try to make it funny.
And with the things you noticed here in Poland, were there some things interesting that you already mentioned in your comedy?
I think I made one joke the other day. I asked Polish people how come they're Polish and they speak English. Because I've noticed this contrast that some people are good at English and they speak it very well. And then you notice people who say po polsku and that's it. So it was like a little bit of contrast, and they didn't understand it because they're like, we learned it in school. And then I gave an example, but what about people who work in Żabka, you know? Because sometimes you enter and you have no language to communicate. But I also noticed that in the center, if it's a younger person, they will speak English to you very eagerly. It's the same in bigger shops, supermarkets. They will speak English, but with older generation, it's a little bit different. So that was just one joke I made about the type of agreements that you get when you rent a place. For example, if you're not too trustworthy, they can ask you for occasional agreement. It's like, just playing with it. I know it's normal, but you can play with it and make a joke out of it. So, and of course, I think it's a very common joke that there is a lot of sounds of psh, psh, psh. In Polish,
Polish language.
You never heard of this?
No.
You see what I mean? So it's like, for example, I was doing it just I never done it on stage, but I forgot how to say it in Lithuanian, that I need air in my tires, and I came to the shop with bicycles and I said, can you give me some psh, psh, psh? And they're like, you speak Polish? So it's like, those little cultural things of like how you can play with it, but it's a little bit minimizing, let's say, or stereotyping a nation a little bit. But usually even stereotypes can be funny if you approach them in an authentic way. So I think this is where you, differ from hacky comedy to like being authentic and making it work and funny. But, I'm not an expert. Everybody's figuring it in their own way. It's hard,
When it comes to stereotypes, or maybe, I don't know, other areas where there is a difference between Polish people and Lithuanian people, do you see like different approach to, I don't know, stereotypes or any other thing?
I would say, how to say it without being too inappropriate. You know how they say that size doesn't matter? but size matters. And Lithuania is a smaller country in size, and I would say it shows of how people are protective of their nationality. How to say? I haven't met enough Polish people to base and make my opinion valid per se. When I was moving here, people warned me about some things in Poland, but all my visits here before were positive. But I stayed there a day or two, so it's not really enough to build an opinion. But now that I was moving, some people, Lithuanian people, Belarusian people, Ukrainian people, they warned me that Poland might not be a positive experience. So far, for me, Warsaw specifically was very positive. I liked a lot of things on a personal level. For example, Vilnius, where I live, and I drive bicycle. Bicycle is my transport by choice because I'm scared of people. And Vilnius is very hilly. So I need to drive bicycle uphill, and I sometimes cry on a bicycle, like I say, getting wet, but in a bad way. And in Poland, it's very flat. So you just go on a bike and you can drive the whole Warsaw with no effort. So I enjoy that. I enjoy just I can wear any kind of shoes on a bicycle because I don't have to worry about the hills. So that's the things that I perceive positively. Can you ask me again? Because I now think about things that I like, but it might be that I went away from people.
No, just the differences between Polish and Lithuanian, or maybe even in comedy. Maybe different things, I don't know, are interesting for Lithuanian and for Polish.
What I noticed is the comedy scene is pretty different here, because in Lithuania it's more inclusive in a way that, for example, Lithuanian comedians are more open to take foreign comedians in their open mics and invite 1, 2, 3 comedians to perform in English for Lithuanian crowd. This doesn't happen here. As I understand, the English-speaking comedy community is secluded by the locals. For whatever reason, it's just a notice, and it might be because of language, because maybe the Polish people who come to enjoy Polish comedy might not be that efficient in English or not even interested in that type of comedy. So that kind of creates this a little bit of isolation and inability to reach enough people, because Poland is much bigger than Lithuania. But in Lithuania, I already noticed I've been doing comedy for 2 years only, but I've been pretty active on social media. Sometimes people show up to the show and they say, I'm here from TikTok. I'm here from Instagram. So it's in 2 years, I've reached some people who are aware of my existence, which I think is thanks to Lithuanian comedy community being open and inclusive to foreigners. And I've seen that local comedians who perform regularly in English here, even by the amount of followers and everything, I think they have it different. They don't reach enough of Polish people in English, and I think that's because it's a little bit separated. For whatever reason, I don't know, I haven't figured it out, but can be due to language. Language is the basic thing. I've been to events in Lithuania where you go and they ask, does everybody speak English? And some people say no, and then it's tough luck. You should have learned in school, so you can make it funny, but it's maybe because it's a smaller community and they appreciate as many comedians as the one in Poland is. Once you're bigger, everybody's for themselves. Figure it out yourself. Try to make it yourself. So it could be this. But this is just my, first impression opinion, how I try to explain it. But this is the difference I noticed about comedy field in particular.
Mm-hmm. Going back to your experience of living between countries, do you see maybe some, I don't know if to call it positives, but maybe opportunities, things you learned because of this lifestyle?
It hasn't been that long yet to make a proper opinion about it, but I think it's gonna catch up with me a little bit. in a way that I would get more tired because going back and forth is a little bit schizophrenic, when you coexist in two places at the same time. It's like, when you move to a country, you reinvent yourself. I have a shopping addiction and style, whatever. I'm experimenting with style and everything. And when you move to a different country, you can only take like 1 or 2 suitcases. And then you think, who am I going to be in a new country? You can even say a different name and go by a different name. People are just going to take it as it is. You can make your whole new personality. And then you kind of like make this whole new personality and you need to maintain it. So it can be a little bit polarizing or something. So, like this feeling when you wake up in bed and you think you woke up in a different apartment because you were like moving and you get lost in time a little bit. So it can be demanding, but comedy-wise, I think you create an opportunity for the people who come to see the comedy to hear some things from you in a little bit different way. Let's say, how you start speaking or behaving, like, okay, let's say your language, the way you speak and the way you behave is influenced by your environment. So when you spread your environment and enlarge it, I think you grow in general. And people who see you in this country or that country are exposed to your experience and your growth. And I think that could be positive for everybody because they say the person who travels is the person who, is more knowledgeable in general because it's like he deals with life situation and stuff. I'm not comparing world travelers to me, the travels between cities that are close to each other. But even then, I think some cultural differences are going to be, I'm like a sponge, I'm going to absorb them, and then I'm going to become them. And it's going to be interesting to see what kind of new personality is going to be created on the border between a little bit schizophrenic, but here we are, comedy.
And with your life off stage, because I wanted to ask about that also, do you think comedy influences your life after work? Or it's more like you said that different nations influence your life after work, but comedy? Comedy
changes a lot. I've started doing comedy kind of therapeutically because I have panic attacks. Like it's my main disorder. I have panic disorder. And just in general, I think comedy helps a lot with a lot of daily things. Like I've given this example multiple times. Last year I was diagnosed with alopecia, hence the wigs. So my hair is falling out because of stress. And I was on a bus with this like news. And I was thinking whether I'm going to cry about it or I'm going to write a joke about it. And that's where comedy comes in handy because you can always turn any situation in a little bit positive twist because it's a skill to write a joke, to make an experience relatable. It's a skill, and I think it's a skill you can learn. But recognizing those patterns, what can be funny, it gives you an opportunity. I make a joke that it helps me in my relationship as well. If my husband is talking and I am not enjoying that, I'm just writing a joke in my head, or like just perceiving anything he does. And, you get annoyed sometimes with people, how they do things. And you're like, oh, this is so annoying. But it stops being annoying as soon as you think, oh, this can be the setup for a joke. Because, annoyance is a very human thing. You can always make it relatable. And that's how you can see on social media how reels are relatable, how videos on TikTok are relatable. You just need to recognize this pattern that makes you feel like a human. And then you put it in a funny twist. So, yeah, comedy definitely helps. But I am not... I've talked to some professional comedians, and the way they talked about doing comedy and the way I do comedy, unfortunately, is a bit different because they have what they call love of the game, when you do comedy because it's your passion. I don't have the passion. I do comedy therapeutically per se, to survive, to make myself feel better. And the whole experience on stage is a little bit overwhelming for me. Not everybody, a lot of people have fear of public speaking. And like I say, when you go on stage and you say a joke and nobody's laughing, that can be quite an experience. Like if you ever had to go on a date and you've been rejected by a person, you know this feeling of like, oh, I like this person, but he doesn't like me back, and it hurts. So imagine going on a date with 50 people in the audience and you open up, because jokes are very, very intimate things. You open up and then 50 people say, nah, and you feel rejected by 50 people at once. So it took me a while to kind of like grow thicker skin, to be like, it's okay, sometimes it's your people, sometimes it's not your people. But I think that's why they call comedy a long game, that you need to do a lot of it to build this character who is unbreakable by silences and rejection. And it's not like I'm an expert, it's just my observations, but I noticed that for me, my passion is more like helping people rather than being funny. So I always treated my comedy as a way. I say, oh, come to my comedy show, you're going to feel better about your life. Like I'm going to share so much, you're going to be like, oh, I'm not doing as bad as Moira. And some people are like, oh, yeah, it's fine, I can do it. Moira is done, So I take very vulnerable things from my life and I exaggerate them and I blow them out of proportion, and people feel like, okay, could be much worse. And I think with this way, my passion is to be like, because my comedy always twirls around mental health. And I have even merch with like joke pills and everything. And like I said, this whole like emotional support pills that I developed were inspired by my panic disorder, where sometimes you get so overwhelmed that you need a little bit of a break. And then you open my pill and there is a joke inside, and people have this switch for a second. And I've heard that sometimes it helps them. And I'm like, it's comedy, but I am on a bigger mission of being like, you're not alone. You can do this. We can do it together. If I can do it, you can do it. And I will take all the things that happen to me and tell people that it's okay. We can go through this. It's okay, yeah.
That's a really nice quote for ending. Thank you so much for doing the talk.
Oh, thank you for having me.